comfortable.
I wish I could say yes.
What'd you say?
Has anyone done yoga at home?
Oh! Nice!
Good for you.
In a basement in Minnesota.
Oh, good.
Good for you, Mary. Just crawling around on the floor with your granddaughter count, or I did a few down dogs with her and trees and.
I did stretching and walking and breathing.
Wow.
Too much for me.
We'll be easy today. Sit comfortably, let your eyes close, and just lengthen up through the top of your head. Really let yourself find that length of your spine, feeling the space, and feeling your breath as it comes in and goes out through your nose. So, feel the belly expanding a little bit as you inhale. Maybe even coming up into those 3-part breaths. Come towards those 3-part breaths, inhaling into the belly, into your ribs, all the way up into your chest. Now let's start to circle a little bit with our torsos. Just keeping nice and long, letting your exhales bring you forward. And as you come off to the side and back, you inhale and then you exhale as you come forward again. Now you can be as small or as big as you like with the circles. They can get bigger and bigger if that feels good. Just enjoy feeling that motion with the breath. Reverse direction, so you stop where it feels good and just start to come off into the other direction. And again, just feeling the breath moving you here. Next time you come forward, let yourself stay forward. You can bring your hands, down. You can be up as high as you want. If it feels good to walk further out, do it. Be mindful. Really easy is come into this first forward bend so your back feels okay. Let your head hang if you're able to. Just release there. Feel that nice stretch through the low back into the hips. And then we'll come up enough to walk out over towards our right. Let yourself just walk over to the right a little bit. Draw your left sit bone back a little. It'll be off the floor probably, but just draw it back a little bit. Find a little more in your side waist. And then we'll walk back through center. And we're going to come over to the other side. And again, once you get there, doesn't matter how low you are, right? Draw your right sit bone back a little bit. And then walk back into center again. And we'll make our way all the way back up to sitting, bringing yourself on back up, hands on out beside you onto the floor there, lightly touching. And let's inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now let's inhale our hands straight out from our shoulders. Rotate your palms up. Let your elbows melt down a little bit. And then bend your elbows. Let your fingertips come to touch the tops of your shoulders. And start to circle your elbows. It doesn't matter which direction you go. And it doesn't matter how big you go with the circles. They can stay small or they can get bigger and bigger depending on how your shoulders feel. And then whichever direction you're going, stop and reverse and let yourself go the other way. Again, they might want to be small, they might want to get bigger and bigger. Good. And then the next time the elbows come down towards the ground, go ahead and unfold them there beside you. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, let's twist to our right. So I'm going to mirror you. Let yourself come on around. Lengthen up through the top of your head. One more inhale. And on your exhale, come on back around through center and all the way off into the other direction. Feeling that sense of your chin parallel to the floor. One more inhale. And as you exhale, make your way back around into center again. And this time, take a nice inhale. And when you exhale, draw your navel towards your spine, round into your back, like you're doing cat pose seated here. And then when you inhale, send your tailbone down and stack yourself back up into a nice long back. Just roll on up. So as you exhale, navel drawing towards the spine, rounding into the back. And as you inhale and the sits bones come down, you just sort of roll your way back up. Hence the last thing. One more time, exhaling, rounding into that back. And on the inhale, coming on back up, letting yourself rise on back all the way up through the crown of your head. And we're going to switch the cross of our legs if we're cross-legged. So stretch them out if you need to. Do whatever feels good. I know it's kind of cold down here on the floor, so it is, isn't it? The floor is really cold. We haven't had many days where the floor's been this cold. So from here, this time, let's just let ourselves come forward and back with that long back. So you can do whatever feels good for your hands. They can be on your knees. You can let them be on your thighs. You know, some of you might even want to bring your hands behind you if that feels really good to open your chest. But just keep that rocking motion going. That exhaling your way forward, inhaling your way up, keeping that length of the spine. And remember to imagine the back of your head is in line with your spine, so instead of lifting your chin up, you have that sense of length in the back of your neck, in the back of your throat, really. Good. And the next time you come forward on this time, bring your hands down. And again, you don't have to go any lower. It depends on you. And then keep your hands centered, but let your torso shift side to side. So now you're just going to keep your hands in that one place at center, and you're just going to let yourself shift over to one side and then to the other so that it feels really good into your hips, your low back. Good. And then we'll come on back into center. And we're going to walk ourselves all the way back up again. Hands out lightly onto the floor beside us. We'll inhale both arms all the way out and up. And let's lower our right arm down and come on over into a side stretch. Let yourself reach up through the fingertips. Breathing into that side you're stretching. How far you go is totally up to you. And then we'll rise back up. We're just going to switch arms, switch sides, and come on off to the other side. So breathing into the right ribs here. And we'll rise on back up from here. Lower our arms on down. And now just stretch your legs out in front of you for a second and let your feet circle around and however you want to, right? You can do opposite or same directions. You can let yourself just move through if you want to flex and point. Just wiggle around a little bit. And then bring your left leg out a little bit towards the side and see if you can fold your right leg in here. And, you know, you may decide, well, I want to go way out and way in with this foot, or you may not, right? Because we're just going to come a little bit forward till we feel the hamstring and the inside of this leg. So if you come forward and you're like, I kind of want to reposition both, do it. Think about the knee and the toe facing up on that left leg there. And find a little bit of release here for the back of the leg, for the inside of that leg if you can. Just be mindful. Coming forward from the low back. Good. One more breath. And then we'll come on back up. All we're going to do is switch legs. So just bring that other leg out. And again, you know, how far you go, totally up to you, how far out to the side. And be okay with this leg too. If you need to stretch it long, don't do anything that hurts your knee or your hip. Come forward from your low back again. And it doesn't take much to feel a nice stretch here through the inside of the leg and even into your hamstring there. Good. One more breath. And then we'll come on, walk ourselves back up, and let's bring our legs on around in front of us. And again, move through your feet and your ankles a little bit. And we're going to come on around towards our hands and knees from here. So, you know to have your blocks handy. Let yourself bring a blanket under your knees if you need it. You know, get comfortable. If you feel like you need support under your hands, use it. And start to move through your cat-cows now. Just feeling that tailbone initiate. And enjoy flowing through your back here. Good. To finish off the one you're on, we'll come to more neutral spine. And let's turn our head to the right. Let the right hand come off the floor. And you can either leave the hand right out from your shoulder or you can lift it up and up and up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to thread the needle with that right arm. Coming on down and through, bringing yourself down towards the right side of your head. And you know, you let that left arm do what feels good. You can reach it long, so that it's like you're doing down dog with that arm overhead, or you can keep the hand by your face a little bit. Just be mindful, let it feel good. And then bring the left hand back by your face if it's not there, so you can press up and come all the way up to all fours. Do a little cat-cow here in between. And then when you're ready, come back to that neutral spine again, and we'll look to the left. Left arm comes up again. How high up is up to you. And then when you're ready to thread the needle, let that arm come on down and bring yourself down towards the left side of your head. Again, what you do with your right arm is up to you. Stretching it overhead if you'd rather. Keeping the hand right by your face is fine. Just be easy into your shoulders here. Opening up there between the shoulder blades on your back. And kind of imagine your heart is melting down towards the ground. And then we'll bring the right hand back by our face again to press our way on up. And then from here, just shift forward like you're coming into a half plank. So you're coming forward, you've got your shoulders there above your wrists. Engage the belly a little bit. If you really want to curl your toes under and lift up into a full plank, you can. Not necessary. You can keep the knees down. So one more breath. And then we'll bring the knees down. If they were up, we're going to shift back into pose of a child. Let yourself release on into your child's pose only as deeply as you want to go. You can let your arms soften. You can bring your hands onto your upper back if that feels even better for your shoulders. Or you can bring your arms back alongside your legs. Just be mindful. Let it feel like a nice release for your hips and your back and also for your shoulders. Good. One more breath. And then we'll bring ourselves on back, arms overhead, back to all fours. And we're going to step our left foot forward and find a lunge. So you know if you like your blocks, grab your blocks. And we'll come on up into that first lunge. Take your time. Get yourself situated there. Into your lunge. Drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Getting aligned with that front knee. Lift your left heel up for a second. Really let yourself feel that heel lift as high as you can. And then go ahead and lower the heel on back down. And we're going to switch our legs. So coming to the other side. Bringing that right foot forward and getting yourself established in your lunge. And then if you can lift your right heel up as high as you can, really, just for a couple of seconds, just to really feel that quad there and let yourself get aligned with your knee. And then go ahead and bring your heel on back down. And let's switch legs again. And this time, once you get into your lunge, see about straightening that front knee out. Let that right heel descend back towards the floor. If you're able to lift your left toes up, do. So that you find the four corners of that left foot into the mat there. You can even lift your foot up and be on your heel if you'd like to. And then we'll bring the foot down, bring the toes down, bend the front knee, come back to lunge again. Press the feet away from each other like you're lengthening your mat. And we'll switch again. So again, once you get into that lunge, coming into that straighter front leg, let yourself just descend back with your hips a little bit. Let that left heel kind of drop down towards the ground. Lift your right toes up. Find that four corners of the foot there. Make sure you're not rolling on it if you can. And then, of course, if you like to lift your foot up, you can bring the whole ball of the foot off the floor and be on your heel. That is totally optional, though. You know that. And then we'll bring the foot back down and the toes back down. Bend the front knee again. Come back to your lunge. And now press your feet away from each other like you're lengthening your mat. Really feel your hips. Good. We're going to step forward and come on into standing forward bend here now. So use whatever support you like. You know, if you like to hang your hands down, do. If you'd rather let your hands be on blocks or elbows above your knees, do. Support your back however you need. And go to your breath. And enjoy feeling that heavy head. And letting the weight of the head help you feel more space in your spine. Full, deep, even breaths. And we'll let our hands come on up to our hips now. As we bend our knees, we're going to rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our hearts. So coming into mountain pose, establishing however you need, right? Starting at your feet. If you need to move around a little bit, do. Let yourself really get grounded in the feet. Lift your toes up for a second and feel that same thing we talked about, not rolling to the inside or the outside of your feet, but feeling really, really, really balanced between those four corners of the feet. And letting the toes come on down. Let's bring our hands behind us just briefly. Let your hands just gently interlace your fingers there. Feel that openness across your chest. Make sure your tailbone is reaching down towards between your heels. Let your shoulders release down away from your ears. And then go ahead and let your arms come down, but let them hang. Let your arms, feel the weight of your arms. Let them just hang naturally. So maybe your palms want to face each other. Maybe they want to face somewhere else, because we all have a different carriage of our arms there. And then just bend your elbows and let your hands come to meet right in front of your heart. Spread your fingers out a little bit. Actually, for a second, fold in your pointer fingers. Let them come down. Just let them fold down together. And then let's fold our middle fingers down as well. So now you've just got your pinkies and your ring fingers and your thumbs long. And then let's go to the ring fingers coming down. So you're now with just pinkies and thumbs together. And then let your pinkies, go ahead and come down. So now all the fingers are down, the thumbs are there. And then just let your thumbs naturally cross, whichever one comes on top. Squeeze your your palms together a little bit. And then think about your fingers squeezing, so you feel the bones of your fingers really. And then we're going to open all the fingers and the thumbs back to where we come gently back to meet in our hands here. Feeling a little more alert in the hands, feeling the groundedness through our feet. And we're going to unfold our arms right on down beside us and inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bend our knees. Come on forward with that long, flat back into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long back. We'll step our right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into a downward facing dog pose. So first dog, be mindful. Walk a little bit if you need to. You know, feel free to pick feet up, shake them out. Feel free to check your hands out too. You know, make sure that you're feeling pretty good and even through the hands, up through your arms, into your shoulders. Feel your elbows hugging towards each other. And then let your head just turn a little bit side to side so you look under one arm and then the other. And then come on back into your full dog. And let your next inhale bring you on out to a plank. And then you know you can go to your forearms if you need. You can put your knees down if you need. Nice and strong. And we're going to lower down. So if you'd like to put your knees down first, do. Elbows right by the ribs, all the way down. And let's come up into a sphinx with our elbows under our shoulders, bringing our gaze there between our hands. Let yourself just enjoy feeling your shoulders away from your ears and feeling that openness in the front of the body and the gentle engagement of the belly. Good. One more breath. And then we'll slide back down to the ground. Bring your hands by your chest. And on your next inhale, float your head and your chest up a little bit, but try not to use your hands. In fact, float your hands up a little bit too. So a cobra really using the back body there. And then bring everything back down, chest, head, hands, and we're going to come back to down dog. So whether you want to go through a full or a half push-up, or back to your hands and knees and back to dog. Spread those fingers wide now. Really feel your hands equal in the mat. And we'll bring our right foot forward to find lunge. And you know you can put your left knee down to get there, whatever you need to do to get back into your lunge. And then we'll come on back into our standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And again, be mindful of your own back. Wherever feels good for you to come into releasing into your forward bend now. And follow your breath. Full deep breaths all the way in and all the way out. Let your face soften. Now let your knees bend just a little bit if they're not already. Press equally down into your feet. We're going to rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And let's unfold our arms beside us. Bring our hands behind us and clasp them. When you inhale, let your hands come away from you. Let yourself stay there for a breath if you can. And then bring your hands on back down so they're touching you again. And as you inhale here, think about coming forward on your exhale with a long back. Bend your knees, find that flat back. So you're really letting yourself lengthen out through the top of your head. Reach back through your tailbone. Good. And then bring your hands to meet in front of your chest. So release them so that they're right in front of your chest. And let's twist to the right. If you want to, you can even bring your left elbow over to that right knee. If you're not low enough, that's fine. You don't have to do the elbow part. And then we'll come on back into center, and we'll go to the other side. So twisting to the left again. If you like to put your elbow on your knee, do. And then we'll come on back into center again. One more inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to come into standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find that long, flat back. And we'll step left foot back this time, coming into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into that downward facing dog pose. Again, spread your fingers wide, hug your elbows towards each other. Really enjoy coming into your dog. Remember, it's fine to bend your knees, both your knees in dog. You're trying to press back out of your hands equally, almost like you've erased your wrist creases in your wrist there. And we're going to come on out to plank. Let's do just a little side plank variation. Put your right knee down. Use your right foot like it's a kickstand. And shift onto your right hand. Bring your left hand up to your left hip. So you're looking there to the left. You're going to start to reach up through your left arm. And take your time. If you want to turn to look up towards the ceiling, just to give your neck a little stretch there too, do. And if you want to even lift your left foot off the floor, you can. That is totally up to you. Don't need to. You can keep the foot down. And now go ahead and bring your gaze back forward and see if you can bend that, if you have the foot up, bend that left knee, maybe even get a hold of the top of your left foot. So you feel a quad stretch. You can even pull the heel in more towards you. Don't do it if it's too much. Come on back into a long arm and leg. And we're going to come back to all fours. Let yourself come back to all fours. Reach the right foot back, then the left foot back, and find a plank for a second. Let yourself be nice and strong in the plank. And then we'll lower the left knee down, and we're going to come onto that left hand, bring our right hand to our hip. Remember that left foot's kind of like a kickstand. And then extend the right arm up. And again, if you want to look up towards the ceiling, try it, do. Right foot's going to float up only if you can. And there's core work right there. Now, if you want to turn your gaze back to look forward and bend the right knee and think about reaching back to get a hold of the top of your right foot, you can, but you don't need to do that. Letting yourself be where you can, feeling the heel coming in towards you or pushing your foot into your hand. And we'll go back to long arm, long leg. We're going to turn back to face the floor. Come to all fours. Shift back into child's pose for a second. And let yourself, once you're there, walk your hands over towards the right. So, you don't have to be way back in child's pose. Your hips can be kind of up. Go to the right with your hands. Let yourself breathe into your left side. And then come back through center and walk over to the left. Breathe into the right ribs here. Good. One more breath. Good. And then we'll come on back, arms overhead here. And we're going to come up to all fours, but then shift to like a half plank. Bend your knees. Let yourself be on the flesh above your knees. And we're going to lower down all the way down to the mat. And we'll come into a little Cobra. Anybody who wants to go higher can. You can stay low like this with your chest, your head off the floor, or you can come all the way up if you choose. So it's your choice of your back bend here. Elbows hugging in. Letting yourself release to where you can. And then from there, we'll release back down to the floor. We're going to come back to down dog, whether you come through hands and knees or a half or a full push-up. Pressing back out of your hands equally. This time, left foot will come forward to come into lunge. And then we'll come on back into our standing forward bend again. And now just be mindful. Be where you can. It's fine to support yourself. If your back feels iffy, really pay attention. Head heavy. Soft face and all around your eyes and your mouth. Full deep breaths. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips, press into our feet. We're coming on up and inhaling our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings as you come forward. Inhale into that long back. We're going to move with the breath. Exhale, right foot back to lunge. Either one, really. And coming on into downward facing dog pose. Let your inhale bring you to plank. Then let your exhale lower you down. Inhale into your Cobra of choice, remember, and exhale back to your down dog. Inhale, exhale, right foot forward to lunge, and inhale, exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top with the breath, and let your exhale bring you forward again. Inhale into that long back. Exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Let your inhale bring you to your plank. Let your exhale lower you down. And inhale into your Cobra. And exhale back to your down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top. And on the exhale, we're going to come forward again. Let your inhale lengthen your spine. We're going to come into down dog. So take your time. Make your way into your down dog. Walk a little bit if you need. Wag your tail around. You know what? Whatever movement that feels good. Settle into your dog. And we'll bring our left foot forward from here. We're coming up for warrior one. So have both your blocks handy. Settling in with that back foot at the angle that feels fine to you. Drawing your shoulders around square to the front of your mat. And go ahead and bring your hands to meet. Take time to look down at that front knee. Make sure you're really comfortable with where that knee is there. And then go ahead and bring your gaze on forward. And let yourself feel your shoulders over your hips. Feel that openness in the front of your right hip. Think about the arches of both feet lifting up. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us. And let's inhale both arms out and up overhead. And if you can touch the tips of your fingers together. And then as you exhale, let the arms lower back down. So again, we'll inhale the arms out and up. And on the exhale, let them release back down. And this last time, as we inhale the arms out and up overhead, see if you can clasp your hands. You can bend your elbows. Send your pointer finger up. Let yourself lift up through the elbows. Maybe lift your gaze. And it's up to you. You can stay right there. You don't have to come into straighter arms. If your shoulders bother you, you can have your arms forward as well. Right? So whatever feels good for you in your shoulders, feeling a sense, it's like you're framing your face. Shoulders are down away from your ears. One more breath. And then as you bring your gaze forward, release your arms, bring them on behind you. You can clasp your hands. You can hold your wrists or your forearms. You can even hold your elbows if you want. Straighten the front leg out. Bring those shoulders around really square now and your hips. And we're going to come on forward for a little pyramid. It doesn't have to be far. Thighs are lifting up towards the hips. Feel the sense of drawing your hip pointer bones towards each other. You don't have to go far. You can go as far as you want. But try to keep your hands back just as long as you can here for at least one more nice full breath. And then release your hands on down for your pyramid pose. Whether you like to use your blocks or the floor, it doesn't matter, whatever height you like to be. And adjust your legs if you need to. Now both legs are straight. Remember, thighs are engaging up towards the hips. Back heel is fully on the floor. Let yourself find that sense of a nice, long, flat back. And then if you like to fold forward more, go right ahead and do it. If it feels good to fold over that front leg, you can. It's not necessary to do that. Good. One more breath. Think about the four corners of the feet into the floor. Good. And from here, come up enough. And you might want your blocks. We're going to walk around to a wide-legged forward bend. So your blocks can be like extensions of your hands as you walk yourself around. Adjust your feet when you get there so you feel like you're a pretty good width, and you're even. And then keep walking over to the right. Whether you use your blocks or you're just walking with your hands over towards your right foot, go as far as you can and then stay there and breathe. Let yourself feel those full, deep breaths. And then come back through center, and we're going to go to the other side. So again, you can use your blocks. You can walk your hands over. Only go as far as you want. You can stay in front of your foot, or you can hold on to the outside of the ankle. And just breathe. Good, and then come on back into center again. Let both your knees bend a little bit. Let your elbows come to rest above your knees. And go ahead and lengthen out through your spine here now. Really have a nice long back here. Reach out and back through your tailbone and forward and out through the top of your head. Good. And then go ahead and fold yourself into a place where you can stay with your breath easily. So if you like to use blocks under your forearms or under your head, maybe you prefer to let yourself just hang upside down, right? It is totally up to you. Come to a place where you can be very mindful of being able to follow your breath easily all the way in and out. Remember, your knees can be bent or your knees can be straight. That is totally up to you. One more nice, full, complete deep breath here. And then we're going to walk our hands back out. We're going to walk back to our left foot. Come on back into lunge. And we'll come on to downward facing dog pose again. Once you're in dog, walk a little bit and see if you can walk to the tops of one foot at a time. So pressing into the top of your toes, giving your feet a nice stretch there. And you can always kind of stay and let the leg that's long, let that heel descend, so you really get into the back of that leg while you're stretching the top of that other foot. And then come on back to full dog, and let's come on out to plank. Totally up to you here now. If you'd like to add a back bend, do. Maybe you'd rather stay in plank. Maybe you'd rather just come through into an up dog, or maybe you want to go down and up into an up dog or a cobra. And then we'll come on back into down dog again. Now, if you can do that again, do. If you need to rest, you can rest. If you want to come out and come into a back bend another time or two, go for it. So if it feels good to do that, let yourself take it. Time, if you need to put your knees down, do. And we'll finish off and meet back in down dog again. And then this time we're going to bring our right foot forward, and we're coming up for warrior one on the other side. So again, get your blocks handy. Bring yourself on up to your warrior one stance, and really, again, adjust this back leg how you need to. If you need a little bit less of an angle, if you need to get that sense of being able to draw your shoulders around easily, bring your hands to your heart for a second. Let yourself feel that sense of shoulders over hips. Gaze coming forward, really open across your chest. And then we'll let our arms come on down beside us. And as we inhale the arms out and up overhead, it's only as high as you want to go. And as we exhale, and they come on back down. Again, let it feel really easy. Inhaling the arms out and up overhead. And on the exhale, lowering them down again. And this time, remember, they'll stay up there. If you need to bend your elbows to clasp your hands, send your pointer finger up, do. Elbows can be bent. Lift up a little bit if you want. You can keep your arms straighter. Totally up to you. You know that. Remember, you don't want to feel any kind of sensation of the low back being cramped, right? You're not dropping into your low back. You're lifting the belly. Feeling that lift and that lengthening down of the top left buttock muscle. One more breath. And then bring your gaze back forward. Lower the arms on down. We're going to bring the hands behind us. Again, you can hold whatever you need. Straighten the front leg out. Pyramid pose. Thighs are lifting up towards the hips, right? If you need to adjust your feet a little bit, do. You don't have to go far. You can go 1 inch. And feel that long back and feel the thighs lifting up. You don't have to go parallel to the floor. Totally up to you. Feel those legs working. Let yourself feel the backs of the legs. One more breath. And then when you lower your hands down for your pyramid, that's when you can readjust if you need to the stance. And maybe you want to get longer or shorter or more or less wide. Keep that back nice and long. Feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips. Good. Now I know some of you like to keep going forward. If you like to bow over that front leg, you can. One more breath. And then come up and up, because we're going to walk around to that wide-legged forward bend again. So you might want your blocks. You can bring them with you. You can let yourself, once you get there and you kind of adjust your stance, go ahead and bend one knee at a time. And just be easy to find those inner thighs. Good. And then come on back into center, and knees can be bent or straight, but let yourself bring your elbows above your knees again, right? And then just reach your right arm across. Think about reaching towards your left toes, but keep your left elbow there above your knee, right? So you're kind of supporting yourself. You're not collapsing forward. You're staying long. And then bring your right elbow back to above that knee and bring your left hand across like you're going to reach to your toe if you can. And again, keep long. Try not to fold down over that leg, but you're pressing into the leg a little bit and lengthening your spine. And then come on back into center. Walk your hands out in front of you now. Now you might want to be on blocks. It's up to you. Keep that long back here. And we're going to add a twist here. So left hand is going to stay down. Right hand is going to come up to your hip and your low back as you roll that shoulder up. Press the feet away from each other. Find that length out through the top of your head. You're welcome to stretch your right arm up if you want to. So if that feels good to stretch the right arm up overhead, you can. And then we'll bring that right hand back down, and we're going to go to the left hand up. Again, rolling that shoulder up, maybe keeping your hand right there on your sacrum. Totally allow yourself to reach your arm up if you want to. Good. And then we'll come on back down into center and get yourself comfortable. Again, if you like to use your blocks to somehow support your forearms or your head, feel free to do that so that you're not feeling any kind of struggling. It's easy. You can let your head hang. You can allow yourself to very easily follow your breath in and out, and you don't feel forced. Just accept those breaths in and out as fully and deeply as you can. One more nice, full, deep breath. And then from here, we are going to make our way back over to that right foot now to come back into lunge. So walking yourself on back around, and then coming on back into your downward facing dog pose. And you're on your own here. You want to do vinyasas or kriyas, you can. You can come out for those planks, move into a back bend. Maybe you don't want to do back bends. Maybe you want to go from dog to plank. Maybe you just want to stay in your down dog. Or maybe you want to come into child's pose, right? So really pay attention to how you feel. Good, and then let's come on back into down dog to meet. Spread those fingers wide, hug your elbows towards each other. And we're going to bring our left foot forward, coming up for warrior two this time. So bringing yourself on up, lining up those heels. letting yourself get aligned with the front knee. Go ahead and look down at your front knee, but bring your arms up if you can, into your warrior two arms. And then when you get ready, you feel pretty set. Start to bring your gaze up too, so you look out over the top of that left hand. Reaching back through the right, fingertips and forward through the left. Good, let's turn the left palm up and inhale and reach up. Really let yourself feel the breath, expand the ribs. Feel that movement through the ribs. And as you exhale, come into your side angle. So your hand or your forearm onto your thigh, letting the right arm come up into line if your shoulder lets you. Let yourself enjoy feeling that length through the right side of the body. Good. One more breath here. Feel length through both sides, really, drawing that outer left hip back. One more breath. Now turn to look at the floor, and we're going to come into lunge. So you're more than welcome to bring your hand to a block as you reach that back through that right inner heel. And we're going to add a twist. Twist of choice. Left hand can come to the left hip. You can roll that left shoulder up. You can stretch the left arm up if you want to. And of course, you know you're welcome to go into twisted prayer. If you want to bring your right elbow across to your left knee, go for it. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hands on back down. We're going to come on back into downward facing dog pose from here. And if you can, let your feet come a little closer together. Lift your right leg up in the air, three-legged dog. Bend your right knee and open the hips. Stack your right hip on top of your left. You can kind of look under your right arm to do that if you can. Keep pressing back out of your hands. And then we'll come back down with that right foot. We're going to switch legs. Left leg goes up, knee bends, and then you kind of stack the left hip on top, looking underneath your left arm there. And then come on back down with the foot. Take your time. If you need to do child's pose, do. If you want to come out for a plank, move through for a back bend, you can. Totally optional. You know that. And then we'll meet back in down dog. And this time we'll bring the right foot forward. We're coming up for warrior two on this other side. So again, as you line up your heels and you bend into that front knee, look down at that front knee. Let your arms start to float up with your head looking down. You've got alignment there, and then just rise to look out over the top of that right hand. Now try to feel that left hand at the same level as the right. So you're reaching back through the left fingertips, forward through the right. Press your feet gently away from each other, like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. Then we'll turn the right palm up and inhale. Reach up. Let yourself come into that reverse warrior. And on the exhale, coming on into that side angle. So you know it can be your hand. It can be your forearm that goes to your thigh. You can add that left arm up into line, or you can keep the arm down if your shoulder knows that's best for you. Again, find that length through both sides of the body. Really grounded through that outer left heel. Good. One more breath. And then turn to look at the floor. We're going to come into that lunge. So again, you can grab block if you want, or you can go hands to the floor. That's up to you. Twist of choice. Right hand can come on up to your hip, to your low back. You can roll that shoulder up with your hand down, or you can stretch your right arm up. Or of course, you may also come into twisted prayer, bringing that left elbow over to that right knee if you want. Good. One more breath. And then we'll come on back down, back into our lunge, and we're going to come on back into downward facing dog pose. And this time again, you are on your own. If you want to come into a little bit more of vinyasa or kriya work, you can. If you'd rather put your knees down, do. Take your time. Just pay attention to how your body feels. Good. And finish off whatever you're doing. We'll meet back in down dog. And then we're going to separate our feet wider on our mat so they come to the outer edges of our mat. Walk our hands back and either rest here with your elbows above your knees, squatting there. Or maybe you feel like, I'd rather turn my feet out a little bit and come down, into a squat with my hips down towards the ground. So really pay attention to your knees and your hips. Let yourself do what feels really good to you. Release release for your back and your hips. And just breathe. Good. Now as we start to think of coming back up with our hips, just let yourself adjust your feet to get them underneath you again. Hips distance apart and parallel, coming into your standing forward bend. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to press into our feet and rise on up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands right down in front of our chest. So just enjoy. Let your mountain pose just evolve. And start with your feet. Feel that groundedness. And feel that sense of your thighs gently lifting upward and the alignment of your pelvis. And everything just wants to come into alignment. And we'll just release now to let our arms come on down. Shake out a little bit. Move around. If you need to kind of swing around a little bit, do. We are going to come to a wall though, because there's so few of us. We can do a nice half moon work. So, yeah, Larry, you'd actually be probably better off, and you can use the pole, but you can be like, bring your mat. Let's turn our short edge of the mat to the wall, okay? So we're going to stay here. Bring everything with you. You'll fit there, Cynthia. You'll fit between those two lamps. If not, you can always shift that lamp over
I
further.
was just telling Larry not to pole dance.
Good.
Just a reminder.
So let's get a block in our left hand. And you know, if you know half moon with your back to the wall is really not good for your hips, bring both your blocks, because you can always stay in a warrior three. But if you turn your left shoulder towards the wall, you get your left supporting leg, foot, maybe 3 inches, depends on you, how far away from the wall, and you lift your right leg up. There's a warrior three right there. You don't have to open the hip, right? You can stay in warrior three and really practice and work there if you know that half moon is not good for your hip, right? If you're okay to start to release, right hand up to your hip and open that right toes away from the floor, you're supported by the wall there with your left hip. And as you bring your hand up, you can even stretch the arm up, of course, if you'd like. You can let yourself stay here. And then you can bend the supporting knee a little bit if you need to. Right? So you don't want to do anything that makes you feel like you're jamming into locking that knee. Some of you may even want to turn to look up towards the ceiling. You can like let the back of the head touch the wall. And then you can, so your neck is released and you can feel that openness there. One more breath. And now we're going to come on up. Take your time. You can use your core body to help you up really. We're going to go the other side. So again, you can have both your blocks so that if you decide once you get here that you have to have, you know, you just really feel like opening that hip is dangerous, does not feel good. You know, we're all different in our hips, right? So you be where you can. Take your time. Let yourself bring your hand to your hip if you want to, or keep your hands down and work on your warrior three. And you know, each hip is different. Sometimes you can do one hip like this and the other one is like, no, you're not doing this. So be mindful, take your time. Feel that sense of the foot you're standing on parallel to the wall. Good. And again, if you'd like to turn to look up a little bit, if that feels good, to put your head kind of on the wall. That's my favorite thing, is using the wall to support my head. Beautiful. And then when you're ready, come on down. Let yourself, if you want to release back to the wall, do. Let your hips release a little bit, whatever feels good. And we can, as we take both blocks here, come forward and think about using the wall again, but this time for our foot. So if you put your right foot back into the wall, there's your warrior three, right, with your toes down. And maybe, again, this could be enough. Practicing your warrior three here, pressing into that foot on the wall. Or maybe you can turn the toes away from the wall and let yourself press into the wall there, thinking of right hand to the right hip and opening the arm up overhead if you choose. Now, again, you don't have to do this. Keep the toes facing down if you need. Remember, you're not trying to over-open your hip. So it's not like you're trying to get your foot parallel to the ceiling. The toes are still angled down slightly. Good. Come on back down. We're going to switch legs. Just do it right away before you even think about it, because that's a relief right there. And then again, you may decide you want to open the toes away from the ground a little bit. You may decide, no, that is certainly not for my hip. And if your right leg is screaming at you, it's okay to bend the knee a little bit. Good. Nice. And when you're like, okay, enough is enough, come on down. And actually, bring yourself all the way back with your feet to the wall. And then come on into a child's pose, because it'll feel really good for your hips. And you know, your child's pose can be right here. You don't have to shift your hips all the way back to your heels to get a relief in your back and your hips, right? So let yourself be where you can. Breathe into the low back. Good. And then come forward onto your forearms. Let yourself shift your hips up on your forearms, clasp your hands, send your pinky finger out. And now this is up to you. You can stay down just pressing into your forearms, letting your heart melt down a little bit, feeling that release between the shoulder blades. Or you can do that and then lift up if you want into your dolphin pose. You don't have to do the lifting up. And if you get up there and you're like, well, that doesn't feel like the right place, then come down again and your arms Legs. Well, bring yourself to the other side. Enjoy. Feel that right leg directly under you like you're standing on it. Flex through both those feet. It's still long. I just mean don't let it come out to the side. Yeah. And then bring both knees on in towards your chest. And you can make little circles with your knees or just let them go side to side. Whatever feels good to you, really. Take your time. And then we're going to do a little bridge pose. So now this can be your choice. If you bring your feet down and all you want to do is get a block to put underneath you and stay supported in your bridge, by all means do that. You know, maybe you want a block or two. Maybe you want to be on a block and lift up and down off of it. Maybe you want to let yourself just stay and relax onto a block and let your low back release. And you know too, you can move up and down from bridge. You can, if you're on the block and you want to put your feet up in the air, you can do that and let yourself, you know, take your time. Listen to what your body really kind of is wanting to do right now. Come down for bridge pose and you know that you need to do, definitely you want to bring your knees in at first, but also maybe you need to do a little twist or another hip opener. You may want to do a figure four, that figure four to open your hips, or a Baddha-Konasana, maybe a twist, knee side to side, or one knee over and across, you know that, take your time. Something else that sounds good, do that. And you know, you all have a wall here. If anybody wants to turn around and put your legs up the wall, you know you're welcome to do that anytime. So let me know if something extra sounds good other than what you got there. If you need a blanket, let me know for cover because the floor is pretty chilly. So if you'd like a blanket for under your head or for cover, let me know. As you just start to receive your breaths in and out. Letting that firmness of the floor allow you to feel how soft your body becomes as you start to relax. Your breath becomes quieter and your body definitely wants to follow that breath into that quieter place.